Greetings, everyone. This is Terry Naturally with another edition of Terry Talks Nutrition. We're here every weekend, same time, same station. So we're always here, and we hope you are as well. And if you are getting something out of this program and you think it's worthwhile and you'd like to have others listen as well, please have them join us. Tell your friends, family, relatives, or whoever. Tell your coworkers. You can learn something about your health, and you don't have to be sick if you do the right things to be well. And health, good or bad, is our choice, your choice, my choice. And when you know that, you know it's not anybody else that's causing your sickness or illness. Yes, we may have viruses flying around. We may have COVID. And now there's new strains of COVID coming on that cause whoever cannot sidetrack the virus, they may cough for up to 90 days. And then they can't break that cycle. And they can have an increased risk of breaking a rib by up to 250%. And now I heard of a new one called the triple pandemic. Sometime soon in your neighborhood. It means 3 times what pandemic was before. It's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. So we have to be healthy or learn on this program what you can take to stop viral infection. We talk about it all the time. And it's one of my top subjects today as how you can stop. Oh, and it's one of my most favorite herbs. It's a dynamite herb. It is a powerhouse. I've had scientists tell me that this is the best they've ever tested in all herbal medicines. It's been used for thousands of years. It's in Asia, India, China, Thailand, all through that area. It's probably the number one herb used throughout Asia for cold and flu, for viral infection, for bacterial infection, for liver health, cardiovascular, type 2 diabetes. You could go on and on and on, and there are thousands of studies that support the science behind this herb. So we'll have that on today. As well as we'll talk about why gummies. Well, why do people take gummies? Well, it's like eating candy. They are getting their nutrients. Well, the nutrients in gummies is so small. It's just a joke. They're selling them because people love sweet, love the taste. And there's so much sugar and gelatin, there's very, very little level of the nutrient that's in a gummy. I saw a curcumin product. Gummy curcumin. 16 milligrams of curcumin. All of the science I've seen for cancer research on curcumin is 500 milligrams. This was 16 milligrams in a gummy. Do you want to take a dozen or more a day? Probably would because they're like candy. But are they going to do you any good? You're wasting your money. And then I'm going to give you some tips. One of the most important ingredients for the quality of life as we get older, keeping us strong and healthy, and increasing our longevity span as well as our health span is protein. Something so simple as something we should have every day in our meal. And I'll give you some tips on how you can increase your protein intake. And then, do you have a wound or a sore or a blister and it just doesn't heal? I'll tell you why. And then we're going to talk about DIM, D-I-M. We'll talk also about how to recover from illness effectively. And then the middle age spread. You seem like you have more pillows to sit on, but when you get up, there are no pillows there. Our behind is like a pillow. Is there too much back there? That human age spread? And before I get into our topics, I just wanted to remind you, we're almost closing out February. Now, in January, especially like around January 1, most of us made a dozen or so resolutions. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to exercise every week. I'm going to put away more money every month. I'm going to be better to my spouse. Those are all really quality and more good resolutions January 1. Do you know by now, 50% of those that made resolutions and 50% of the resolutions are all under the carpet. You just swept them away. You forgot about them. It was too difficult. You know, in most places, when you go to a gym in January, you can't get in. And all of the different pieces of equipment, people are standing in line to use them. Then around the middle of February, you can get about almost any machine you want. You don't have to stand in line. There's nobody there. They're all gone. Resolutions should be made for the year. Now, just because January 1 is gone, doesn't mean you can't reissue those resolutions. Reconsider what you want to accomplish in life this year. You can lose those 20 or 50 or more pounds. You can put away more money. You can be kinder and more thoughtful of your spouse. You can do all kinds of things. Doesn't take a new year to start a resolution. Just do it every day. And if you fall by the wayside on one day, there's another day to start again and again and again and again. Just never stop trying to have better and newer resolutions for a better quality of life. So we're going to talk about the herb that I was mentioning in the beginning of the program. The herb is Andigraphis. Andigraphis. It's spelled A like apple, N like Nancy, D like David, R like Robert, O like Olive, G George, R Robert, A apple, P Paul, H Harry, I S, Andigraphis. And we also would like to talk about Umca, which is another herb that really complements Andigraphis. But Andigraphis is my powerhouse. I think it can do miracles for you. Cold and flu season isn't quite over, even though we're at the end of February. You know, flu season starts in October and peaks in December and January, and then runs throughout March and April. At the end of January, the most recent available statistics, flu and respiratory illnesses had come down from a peak activity but are still elevated. Now, rates are higher this year than any other year in the past 5 years, except for the spike in COVID in 2020. Cold and flu, it's like death and taxes, right? You can never get rid of taxes. We're never going to get rid of death. And it seems like we don't get rid of cold and flu. No matter what we try, we don't get rid of it. It's there all the time. We can't get rid of the cold and flu. So what can we do? What's available? And Endographis is one of those powerhouses that can actually do miracles in our lifetime. And if you start using Endographis, it's going to be a phenomenal new year for you, because you'll get rid of all of the complications, the symptoms, the severity, the duration of cold and flu. So that is something we really want to make a difference in and change our ability and to have a season without cold and flu. So remember, we are having a peak season. That's way beyond what we can do. So I want you to try to bring back a good season that'll make a difference for you. So what about Endographis? It really truly is a natural treatment and prevention for cold and flu, and also for upper respiratory tract infections. There is scientific documented benefits, thousands of studies on Endographis, which is an Asian herb, been used for thousands of years. It's probably in about 75% of all the Chinese, Indian formulations for Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine. And Umka, it's spelled U-M-C-K-A, Lolaba, is an African herb. It's a root. And it has been used to shorten the duration of cold and flu symptoms, reduce symptoms of upper respiratory tract infections, effective for acute bronchitis, relieves sore throat, and helped you quit coughing. Remember I told you that one strain of the virus this year is to instill a coughing spell up to 90 days. And severe coughing to the point where you could break a rib. You can't sleep at night because you're coughing so much. And you're exhausted. And again, then it's a whole new merry-go-round. So if you could take a combination of Endographis and Umka, would be amazing treatment for cold and flu. As I mentioned, it's a traditional medicine from South Africa. Pelargonium, pseudophytes. Broad-spectrum antiviral, antibacterial effects demonstrated against human influenza, even tuberculosis, bird flu, rhinovirus, COVID. Stock your shelves and your cupboard with this combination. I take it every day because what treats can prevent. I don't want to try to treat a viral infection. I don't want a viral infection. So I take it as a prevention. And additionally, it boosts the immune system cells activity and reduces inflammation. I was just going to say you could write a book on Endographis. And I did. I wrote a book on Endographis. It's one of my most favorite herbs. And now there's research being done right now at City of Hope Hospital in Los Angeles at their cancer center with a combination of curcumin and Endographis. What a powerful combination. I think if I had to take one thing, it would be that combination. It is that powerful for so many conditions. It actually treats fatty liver disease, boosts immune cells, boosts brain cells, treats neurological diseases, a host of benefits. The benefits of antigraphis could fill a page. It's one that you really want to keep your body in its healthiest, peak optimal level. Now, here's a study on UMCA. 100 adults with common cold treated with UMCA or placebo for 10 days. And the result of this study, a 10-day study, 100 adults, after the 10 days, a 16% greater reduction in symptom intensity on day 3, by 50% reduction by day 5, and by day 5, over 70% reduction in the UMCA group, experiencing major improvement. 5 completely recovered versus only 20% of the placebo group, and no one completely recovered. And on antigraphis, you see a 50% reduction in the symptoms and signs of cold and flu in the first 2 days. And by day 4, 100%. So I can't say this combination would be a cure for the cold or the common cold, but it sure is going to knock the hell out of it. It'll knock it out of the ballpark. It's a major, major change in your signs and symptoms, the severity of the cold and flu, and the duration, the length of time. It's going to shorten it so dramatically. You can't afford to lose several days at work. You can't afford to have the kids stay home from school for several days. That makes all kinds of complex issues. Daycare. Parents that may have to stay home or find someone to take care of the kids. If you have to stay home. If you're sick, you don't want to get up. And by day 10, 80% of all the patients taking this combination recovered versus only 30% in the placebo group. It is a knockout ballpark home run. I love that combination. Now, when you pair antigraphis to feel better faster, antigraphis is extremely effective against all types of viral infections, including HIV, herpes simplex, cold sores and fever blisters, the common cold, COVID, influenza, viral hepatitis, upper respiratory tract infection, kidney infection, any kind of infection. So here's what I recommend. About 400 milligrams of antigraphis in a capsule with 30 milligrams of UMCA. Now for kids, because antigraphis is very, very bitter. It's been known as the king of the bitters. So if kids can't swallow it, they can't swallow a capsule, and believe me, I've misinstructed a couple of people because I am so caught up in antigraphis, I failed to mention to the parents, don't give it to your kids. If you pull the capsule apart, don't dump it in food because it's so bitter, they'll spit out the food, and they did because it's so bitter. If they can swallow the capsule, they won't taste it. In fact, you can't even put it into a tablet because the bitterness will come through the tablet coating. But in a capsule, you will not have that problem. So for kids, I recommend the next best choice for kids, and that is propolis. Propolis does not have to be mixed with food. You can take a pinch of propolis out of a capsule, dump it on their tongue, put it in a baby bottle. Safe, safe, safe. I know it comes from the bees, but it does not have an effect on children. They do not have to avoid it. Honey, yes, because honey is a different composure of compounds. Propolis is not. Propolis is made from the plants and trees and buds and shrubs that surround the colony or the hives. That's where the bees collect all the polyphenols, much different than honey. So propolis you can give to a baby. And you can mix it with food if you want, of course. But I don't want you to use so much food that you dilute it so much that you probably won't have it an effect in the body. Just a pinch on their tongue, or half a capsule of propolis. Or now I see there are some tablets, chewable tablets, that you can give to children. 100 milligrams to 400 milligrams daily. Excellent for ear infection. All kinds of infection. Sinus infection. Upper respiratory tract infection. Kidney infection. Bladder infection. Every form of infection will benefit from this combination. Now, I want to mention gummies again. Gummy vitamins are just like candy. Now, this was an article that I picked up from the Atlantic Online magazine. Gummies deliver sugar. And if you've been listening to me often enough, and I think you just know yourself, sugar is not good for you. Sugar is one of the most harmful foods we can consume. Not overnight, but over a long term, sugar disrupts all of our metabolic processes and make us sick, if not die. So gummies deliver sugar, not health. If the idea that something can taste as good as candy and still be healthy seems to be too good to be true, right? That's because it is. An in-depth article in the recent issue of the Atlantic magazine covers the false promise of gummy supplements. Gummies taste great. Oh, believe me, that's why they're selling like crazy. But can't deliver for your health. Sorry, you can't have two things going on. You can't eat a candy bar and have good health. You can't eat gummies and have good health. The average gummy has the same level of sugar as a piece of candy, like a candy bar, and often has synthetic flavors and colors as well. Additionally, gummies are not a reliable delivery system. Vitamins and nutrients degrade faster in a gummy because they are not properly protected from heat, light, moisture, and other contaminants. Tablets and capsules are perfect delivery systems. They're not as sexy, they're not as good tasting, but they deliver a degree of health that is far beyond gummies. And as an alternative, there is a starch that's not absorbable by the human body, but because of an enzyme that breaks down the starch, it produces a compound called gamma cyclodextrin. And this is a delivery system that can deliver nutrients in a stable, because it increases stability, absorbability. You know, when you take berberine That's an herb everybody's talking about today. Like you take 500 milligrams, you will absorb about 2% of that 500 milligrams. Gamma cyclodextrin, if you take 250 milligrams, you'll get about 1,000 milligrams absorbable equivalency in the chewable form that provides a realistic dose without the concerns of gummies for those who can't or just don't like traditional tablets or capsules. So dump the gummies. You know, I'm just about running out of time for this half hour, for this portion of the program. And I want to get into a really interesting subject, and it's lengthy. So I don't want to get it started and then break up. So bear with me. We have about a minute before we have to stop for a few seconds or a few minutes to let the station identify itself and to also run some commercials to pay the bills. So now is the time to start thinking about your resolutions for the rest of the year. Just because you got stopped doesn't mean you can't start again. Just because you failed doesn't mean you can't get up again. Just because you hit a wall doesn't mean you can't find some way to go through that wall or over it or under it. You can always find a way to get over every obstacle if you want to win, if you want to accomplish something. Never, 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 never fail. Never give up. Charge ahead. You can be a winner. Always. Better than smart. At that, my friends, I have to pause. Take time to listen to these commercials and for the station to identify itself. I'm going to come right back. I hope you're right back too. This is Terry Naturally with Terry Talks Nutrition. Welcome back, my friends. This is Terry Naturally, and we'll be here to the top of the hour bringing you more exciting news and news you can use. I'm sure if you're listening, you wonder how you can be healthier. Wonder what you're going to learn to be healthier. What is Terry going to talk about that I can use to make myself healthier? Now, we don't have all the answers, but we have a lot of them. And we're going to share information with you that you can use, like antigraphis, with a combination of umca, or just antigraphis by itself. I love that product because it's so mind-boggling, and there's thousands and thousands of studies that proves the science behind antigraphis. It's been used for thousands of years. Herbs that don't work don't last for thousands of years. They're not used in 75% of all the Ayurvedic Chinese medicines. They're so powerful. So these can be added to your vitamin collection for the day, or your regimen, or your protocol, whatever you call it. Add antigraphis. You won't be sorry. And don't wait until you're sick. Yes, it'll help you absolutely if you're sick. But why wait? Why not take it every day so you don't get sick? And maybe just one a day. When you get sick, you might need 3, 4, or 5 a day. Why not just take one a day and really weave it into your protocol? I have a very interesting subject. The Achilles tendon. As soon as I started working on this subject, the Achilles tendon, I said to myself, Aaron Rodgers. The Achilles tendon is the strongest tendon in the body because it's connected to the muscles in the back of the leg, all the way up to your calf muscle, down to the bony part of your knee. heel. The Achilles tendon allows you to push off, to walk, to run, to jump. And with Aaron Rodgers, he was coming back off receiving the football, wanted to make a turn, down he goes. A rupture of the Achilles tendon occurs when it is overstretched and partially or completely tears. This is ideal for Aaron Rodgers. Most Achilles tendons rupture occurs between the ages of 30 and 45 in men. Aaron Rodgers is 40. And it's 6 times more likely to happen in men that they will experience an injury of the Achilles tendon than women. Doesn't leave women out, but men are 6 times more likely. The Achilles tendon ruptures also occur in older adults, but a drug that many older adults take is responsible for having the Achilles tendon tear. When older people are treated with a very specific type of antibiotic called a quinolone, especially if they also receive steroid drugs. I'll spell the drug just in case you are taking the drug. It's spelled Q-U-I-N-O-L-O-N-E-S. Quinolones. Especially if they receive steroid drugs at the same time, makes it even worse. But this antibiotic is responsible for weakening the Achilles tendon. And steroids, which many, many people take today for their pain, inflammation, also increases dramatically the risk of the tendon rupture. And especially injections of steroids have direct toxic effects on collagen, inhibiting its production. Collagen is the tissue that makes up about 80% of the structure of tendons. So if steroids are injected directly into tendons, inflammation may increase rather than decrease. A 2015 study found that people taking steroids long-term were 3 times more likely to experience a ruptured tendon than people who didn't take daily steroids. Even a short-term treatment with high-dose tendons significantly increased the risk of tendon ruptures. So these conditions are responsible for the Achilles tendon rupturing. Now you can use nutrients, natural nutrients, that can be far more important. Not only for treating an Achilles tendon rupture, but also for prevention. Now I'm going to give you a number of natural ingredients that has been proven to be effective for the healing of tendons. Could even be your elbow, tendonitis, or bursitis, what some people call golfer's shoulder, or tennis elbow. Now these are boswellia. Boswellia is a sap or a resin that's extracted from the bark of a tree in Africa, India, all that area. Boswellia reduces inflammation through a very specific modulation of the 5-LOX enzyme. Bromelain, shown in critical studies, can reduce swelling and pain after injuries or prevent injuries. We don't have to wait. We can take things to be healthier, to maintain better health, than get sick, get injured, and then try to use multiple dosages to get well. It takes less of the nutrients as prevention and maintenance than it does when you are sick or ill or injured. Bromelain inhibits pro-inflammatory compounds called leukotrienes that are produced by the 5-lux pathway or enzyme system. So that is bromelain. Then we also have P5P. P5P is an abbreviation of pyridoxal 5-phosphate. Pyridoxal 5-phosphate is the chemical name for vitamin B6. This is a very special form of vitamin B6. All vitamin B6 ingredients are water soluble. They're excreted out of the body within several hours. And if you take too much regular B6, it can cause nerve damage. Now, P5P has never been known to cause nerve damage. And it's not just water soluble, it's fat soluble. It reduces pain and inflammation of the tendons, particularly effective for carpal tunnel syndrome. Many people who did not want to have surgery took P5P to heal their carpal tunnel syndrome. Vitamin C, B12, and niacinamide, a non-flushing form of niacin, are crucial for tissue repair. Now, there's one mineral that's extremely critical for healthy tendons, and that is manganese. Not magnesium, manganese. M-A-N-G-A-N-E-S-E. Manganese. It activates an enzyme, prolidase, which is essential in collagen formation. Without manganese, the body cannot make collagen or repair damaged connective tissue, including tendons. Our body will make collagen if you have enough manganese. Now, two other minerals are quite essential and are required for protein synthesis and tissue repair, and that is magnesium and zinc. Magnesium and zinc. It can repair the damage to an Achilles tendon rupture or improve any other form of tendon tear or rupture. Make your body stronger. And if you have a lot of repetitive motion, like golfing, like tennis, where you are constantly using up that tendon space in your elbow, joint, hips, or wherever, make sure you get plenty of these nutrients to repair the damage or prevent any damage. Now, I mentioned protein in the earlier part of the program as being one of the most critical foods or nutrient that we can use to improve longevity and the quality of longevity. We don't want to live longer if we feel so terrible But then again, it's not my wish to say when you should live or when you should not live. But people always tell me, Terry, if I feel this bad, I don't want to live another 10 years. Because I always try to tell people you can live longer, live better. But you got to make some sacrifice. You got to make some changes. You can't keep doing the same things you're doing now and expect to get healthier. You've got to really renew your life. Stop the food you're eating and start using a different diet to improve the quality of your life. But I'd like to give you some tips on increasing protein intake. As we age, our bodies process protein less effectively and efficiently. And older adults do not get adequate protein. I always try to ask people why they're taking supplements. And if they give me their answers, I say, well, what do you do for food? Well, what is your diet like? Oh, I have a piece of toast and a cup of coffee for breakfast. Their intake of protein is almost so inadequate. We should be getting about a gram of protein for every pound of body weight. So if we weigh 150 pounds, we should be getting about 150 grams of protein per day. Protein should be the staple of every meal. I'm not telling you which protein to use yet, but it can be beef, it can be fish, it can be any kind of seafood, it can be shrimp, it can be mussels. I like animal protein. Plant protein is not very effective. Does not have a high biological value. And most plant protein is not a complete protein. You have to have all the essential amino acids at one time. And those amino acids are found in animal protein, including dairy and eggs. Eggs has one of the highest biological value of all protein. All other proteins are based on the egg protein. Now, too little protein, as we age, decreases our stamina. It increases skin fragility. It decreases immune function. It causes very poor healing of wounds and sores. And it takes a longer recuperation from illnesses with less protein. A 2018 study found that tracked older adults for 20 years reported those with the highest protein intake were 30% less likely to experience disability than those who ate low-protein diets. And all vegetable plant life proteins are very poor quality proteins. Now, how to increase your protein? Eggs, 6 grams of high-quality protein, plus 13 essential nutrients and antioxidants. In beef, there's 14 essential nutrients and antioxidants. Between beef and eggs, you have more nutrients, essential nutrients, and antioxidants than you have in any vegetable food possible. There is no lettuce, there's no greens, there's no beans, there's no legumes that will rival beef and eggs. And you can add other protein food sources as well, of course, like fish, poultry, seafood, beans, seeds, and dairy. But you can't live on beans and seeds. Or you can choose a good protein powder. I do. I have about 150 grams of protein per day. I have about 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrates per day. And I don't even measure my oil. I have at least 2 or 3 shot glasses full of olive oil every day. I don't tolerate dairy products very well. I can handle goat milk, especially if it's raw. And I used to get raw goat milk from a farm, but they gave it up. I lost the source of the raw goat milk. I loved it. I drank a gallon a day, a gallon a week of raw goat milk. I thrived on it. I felt so good. But even when I get the pasteurized goat milk, it's not the same. They killed that milk with heat. I've been trying some goat milk kefir, and I do okay with it, but it's not the best. So I do avoid all dairy milk, cheese. I do use a little raw goat milk and, raw goat cheese and some sheep cheese. Sheep cheese. But I do use a lot of egg white for my protein drinks. I'll give you a couple of names that I use if you want to try that. If you're not doing well with dairy, egg white is a really good source. The name of the company is Gaspari. G like George, A-S like Sam, P like Peter, A-R-I, Gaspari. They have a protein product called Proven Egg White. It's 100% egg white. It's instantized. Means it breaks up really, really easy. It's not like a powder. It's not like a flour, I should say. It's more like a powder that mixes with just a spoon and a glass of water. But I throw it in my protein drink. I throw it in a blender because I had a lot of other stuff as well. They have great flavors. Salted caramel, natural flavoring is my favorite. They also have peanut butter cup. They have banana nut bread. And then J. Robb, J-A-Y, last name is R-O-B-B, J. Robb, another great 100% egg white protein, excellent quality, but it is not instantized, but they have vanilla, chocolate, and unflavored. So if you want to have extra protein in your diet, and you don't have time to make a meal, I start my morning off every morning with a protein drink. I add a cup of berries, either aronia berries or wild blueberries or wild bilberries. And I also add 3 raw eggs as well. If you don't want to add the raw eggs, I understand. Some people just can't do it. Just the thought of it, they can't do it. But I add 3 raw eggs with my egg white powder, a big scoop of egg white powder, about 25 grams of protein, egg white, and then the raw egg is 18 grams of protein. And then I also throw in some collagen. I don't need to throw in any flavoring because I use the salted caramel protein. And you can have up to 45 grams of protein in a drink first thing in the morning. And it'll hold you way past noon. If you won't be hungry. Protein keeps you feeling satisfied. And if you have to lose weight, all you have to do is start using more protein, more fat, and far, far less carbohydrates and sugar, like the ketogenic diet, and you will shed weight like crazy. You won't even have to try. You won't have to count calories. You won't have to weigh food. You won't have to measure your portion. Just eat. But eat of the right things. Protein, fat, especially olive oil, and then a good egg white protein. Or if whey works for you, whey is excellent too, but not as good as eggs. Egg is the number 1 biologically active protein. Now, how do you heal? Wound healing. B vitamins. 3 crucial B vitamins for healing. B6, B12, and folate. 30 to 50% of people have genetic mutations affecting their ability to convert B vitamins from their food form to their active form in the body. All B vitamins have to go through the liver. There are available B6, B12, and folate that are already converted into the biologically active form, and they don't have to go through the liver to be converted. They go directly to work. They're active immediately. So in a form, as a supplement, choose the B vitamins in their active form. B6 as pyridoxal 5-phosphate. B12 as methylcobalamin. And I would say the B6 about 25 milligrams. B12 about 1,000 micrograms. And folate about 1,360 micrograms. So now you have 25, 1,000, and 1,300 micrograms. And this will give you a combination of the B vitamins. This will help you quite dramatically. Now, I receive a lot of letters, and I try to answer the letters as best I can. I'm not a doctor. I don't recommend drugs. I don't recommend anything for disease or cancer. I recommend foods and supplements to improve the quality and the health of your body. Health is the opposite of disease, right? I want to make you healthy. Doctors want to treat disease. When you have health, you don't have disease. So why treat disease? Get healthy. This was a letter, Dear Terry. I went through a major illness. I'm recovering, but I'm tired all the time. This person sounds like they may have gone through chemotherapy or radiation, or both. What can I do to get my energy level back? Well, there are several things. You can always add adaptogens, like ashwagandha or antigraphis. Both help the body return to normal, balanced states. Get enough sleep. Did you know that caffeine consumption during the day can reduce melatonin secretion at night? One study in healthy volunteers found that afternoon and evening intake of caffeine reduced melatonin levels by 50%. And we can't make enough to overcome that. So try oral melatonin, anywhere from 5 to 50 milligrams at sundown. Sugar is not energy. Get natural energy from red ginseng. Researchers collected data from 31 studies of over 1,300 adults, looking at energy levels after sugar consumption. And they found that hydroponically grown red ginseng every day was more effective. 60% of sugar consumption made people more tired, less alert, and struggling with fatigue. And with fatigue increasing an hour after eating something sugary. In 1 month study with people with chronic fatigue who took a special red ginseng, the participants experienced significant improvement. 67% increase in energy, 72% improvement in stamina, and 48% improvement in mental clarity. So look for these kinds of adaptogens to improve the quality of your health. Don't worry about disease. Get healthy, and the disease will take care of itself. Do the right things, and you'll spur the right, healthy body. With that, my friends, I'm all out of time. I've got to run. So say a prayer for this crazy, crazy world. It gets crazier by the day. And God bless you, my friends. You can make changes. You can do it, no matter where you are, what condition, how old you are. And God bless this great country.
Thank you for listening to Terry Talks Nutrition Weekly Show. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, including Apple, Google, and iHeartRadio.